You probably already know about some obvious moves that are banned in the NBA, but did you know there are actually 10 little known moves that the NBA have seriously banned, and violating them could cause serious consequences for the player or team in general? While NBA rules have been consistently changing over the years to make it more exciting, thrilling, and at the same time, a professional and well-disciplined game, and that's why the rules are becoming more and more strict. Join me in today's video as I show you some crazy moves banned in the NBA. So, without wasting a freaking second, let's get started. Number 10. Apple Holding Celebration. Well, this was a celebration done by many players indicating that they were holding a large pair of apples after the Big B dance was introduced in the late 90s by Sam Cassell. The NBA was so frustrated by this celebration that after many warnings, they completely banned it in 2011. Moreover, the NBA wanted this to stop as the Big B celebration was a gesture that was disrespectful to both the NBA and its players. Another primary reason was the impact that it was having on the youth, and this was also something that was drowning the NBA's reputation. So, the NBA made a great decision to ban it, and the results were absolutely amazing, as basketball was being seen as an aggressive sport. Number 9. The Isolation Rule. First, let me tell you what it is. The isolation rule is basically a rule in basketball that restricts the number of players on the court at one time. It means that there shouldn't be two men on the attacking side of the court below the top of the foul circle, and the team violating this rule will have to face a loss of possession. Behind applying this rule, there's a great thinking and thought to the NBA. The isolation rule was designed to help teams play more defensively by limiting the number of opportunities they have to give the other team easy baskets. It has been more than 50 years since the isolation rule was applied, but has remained controversial over the years because some people think it's unfair. Number 8. Kicking your opponent while jumping. Many shooters use their tilt leg while jumping, and this leads to chaos and fighting between the players. I'm not even kidding, but this was actually a pretty common tactic used by shooters to try and stop defenders from jumping. There were further many reasons to ban it, as kicking an opponent while jumping can cause severe injury and is not a fair play. So, this is where the NBA thought that this move should be banned. In my opinion, this was a great decision, as this rule should definitely be a necessary part of the NBA game. It helps to keep the playing field level and eliminates the opportunity for players to gain an unfair advantage. Number 7. Landing space for shooting player. There were often many cases in the past where defenders stepped on the shooter's foot angle while landing on the floor. In the final game of the Western Conference Final of 2017, this rule was established when something similar happened. The NBA was also very keen to notice that many players used to do it on purpose, and finally decided to ban it completely. The NBA thinks that players should be given enough space to land to prevent any injury, and if any player doesn't fulfill this requirement, then a foul might be initiated against him. If we consider it deeply, we will know that it is definitely a logical ban. Number 6. Stealing jump ball. The NBA has a history of punishing teams that steal jump balls, and this rule has been in place for many years. This rule says that no jumper will catch the toss ball until it touches any of the 8 non-jumpers, the floor, or the basket. The NBA made this rule against stealing balls because it can lead to many turnovers and confusion on the court. This is an illegal move in the NBA, and any team violating this rule will face the consequences, as the ball will be awarded to the other team and they will lose possession. Number 5. Defense in zone. This is similar to the isolation rule and has been imposed since 1947. There used to be many defenders passing ahead of the foul line protecting shots, so shots were very difficult to make in the basket. There were not many points scored per match, which would lead to dull and stagnant play. The NBA banned zone defense so that we often see more one-on-one battles, making the game more exciting. Zone defense was ineffective because it relied on players staying in their assigned zones and not allowing the opposing team to score. Due to this, most matches used to be low scoring, and to create a fine line between defending and attacking teams, this rule was introduced. Number 4. The shot clock. The shot clock rule was one of the most amazing and is my personal favorite. Before this rule was introduced in 1954, many teams would waste time when they were in the lead. This created an unfair advantage for the losing team, and comebacks were rarely witnessed. And to solve this issue, a 24-second time rule was introduced named the shot clock, which meant you had to try for a shot within 24 seconds, and if you fail to do so, your team will lose possession. Today, the shot clock rule has increased scoring and has made the game more thrilling. The shot clock rule has helped to create more variety between teams, since each team has to work harder to keep the ball in their possession, and has also prevented teams from taking too long to score. Number 3. Throwing or punching the ball. This was another rule that was majorly imposed to prevent players from being aggressive. It was a very common practice that irritated players of the losing team would start to punch the ball. Many players used to kick the ball into the crowd, which further threatened the security of the spectators. The NBA was totally frustrated by this, and so did what they thought should have been done before. This rule was in place to prevent physical altercations between players and maintain the game's integrity. Players are penalized heavily for violating this rule, and the league has a history of taking a hard line against those who commit these offenses. Despite the ban on throwing or punching the ball, there are still times when this behavior has occurred. Number 2. Defenders touching shooters. Another rule which you might not know is that defending players are not allowed to touch shooters in the NBA because it can disrupt their rhythm and cause them to make poor shots. There have been times when defending players have been called for touching shooters, leading to turnovers and foul shots. There are different views about this ban, and let me know what you think about it too in the comments section below. But some argue that this rule is too strict and does not make much sense because it's not always clear when a defender touches a shooter. On the other hand, others argue that the rule is necessary to keep the game fair and protect the shooters. Number 1. 10-second free throw rule. Last but not least is the 10-second free throw rule. This rule allows the referee to call a timeout if a free throw is not completed within 10 seconds. The main reason behind this was to speed up the game as players used to take too long to take a free throw, which would result in a lost momentum. Teams often took advantage of the fouling procedure to hold on to the ball and create more scoring opportunities. While this rule forced them to make more deliberate shots and limit their opportunities to score, in short, this rule was designed to prevent teams from taking too long to get the ball back and to keep the game moving. So, what do you think about these bans? Are they logical? And are any of them fair? Do let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you in the next one.